Oh, what are you excited about?
You
How you doing today? The sun is shining over there, huh?
doing amazing, doing amazing. The energy
Good to hear
is
that.
raising, the sun is shining. We in perfect timing. The sun is shining.
The sun is shining here too. I'm just hiding in this little shade.
Why you hiding?
It's just, I hide from the sun sometimes.
You
You can't
hide
have too much of the goodness sometimes.
but too much of a good thing.
Yeah, you can't have too much of that.
He said too much of a good thing. Oh
Yeah,
goodness. How are you, Nabiha?
I'm doing fine. I'm
Yeah.
doing fine. Yeah, I just had a little rough start today.
A little rough? It was a little rough?
Yeah, I had a little rough, but yeah, it's okay now.
What was
It's okay now.
what was the rough about it? Like what was tough about it?
You want me to talk about it?
What was
Yeah.
it? Go ahead.
No, it's nothing, but yeah, I just had the school call me, my kid's school called me this morning and say, oh, somebody was hit by a car, kid on a bike, and Mickey was not in school. And then while I was on the phone, the principal was knocking on the door, like, tell me, where's Mickey? Where's Mickey? I'm like, I don't know. He went to school. He didn't bring his phone today. But yeah, so we were looking around and then it wasn't him. He eventually came to school. He was just late. Yeah, so
Wow. I can only imagine what you were going through.
yeah, it was a roller coaster. Yeah, but it's fine. I hope the other kid is okay. It was another kid. It was the same route, but yeah,
Is
it was another kid.
is the kid okay?
I don't know. We will know today. So
Okay. Wow. Wow.
yeah.
Geez, like in that moment, were you unsure or did you already know he was safe?
Um, at one point I was moving slow, so I knew he was safe. There was something that was telling me like, I know it's not Mickey, you know, he's safe. I just know 100%. I knew it. But then at the same time, it was that, why is he not in school? It's like 8:50, he start 8:30, so the timing, another kid said it was Mickey. So all of that just like didn't make sense. So, and even the route that he took, I didn't understand because I gave him some money. So I thought like, okay, maybe he walked by that store where the kid was hit. So, or he biked by that store, and there's a lot of traffic around the area. So, yeah, but at the same time, I knew it wasn't him. Yeah,
Be- Because I've heard of the connection between mother and son. The connection, that bond is so strong.
it
You
is.
know, you would think that you would know, right?
Yeah, even if you have the distraction that's telling you, it was, the principal at my door, the person on the phone saying that another kid said it was Mickey, Mickey not being in school, the teacher saying he's not there. All of that just clicked, right? But then at the same time, something inside me said, no, it's not him. So I was moving very slow, you know, compared to other people like rushing, running. And then I start driving around, but yeah.
Okay, so it's almost like, is it like the mind tries to tell you what if, the mind tries to come up with all these scenarios, like, could it be, what if, what happened? But then your heart is like, no, your heart already knows.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like, when you doubt something and you know it's true, like your intuitions basically. When your intuition tells you like this is the right thing to do. And then everything else is telling you like, Jerome, no, don't do this. You can't do this. You have a distraction, but you have a known inside, right? So which one should you trust? Sometimes the mind can be louder, but the situation itself was louder this time, louder than my intuitions, right? But I knew somehow, yeah.
What do you what do you do when you find yourself in a situation that is louder than your intuition? How do you combat that?
Hmm. It happened very often. I feel like um most of us, when you see like society and whatever that's going on in society, I feel like it's a lot of mind. And then you have this inner knowing, of a lot of things that you never listen to. So society is loud itself, and it makes all our intuition so, like, it becomes like whispering. Some people are lucky to just listen to it sometimes, but it's not as loud as reality. So yeah, every day.
So, so how do you like counteract that or combat that, or what do you do to subtract that? The situation when it's louder than your intuition, how do
Hmm.
you
How
compete?
I do it.
Yeah.
Hmm. I would stay to
Rebecca,
myself.
yeah. Rebecca said breathe. She said breathe.
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah,
do?
correct breathing. We're breathing all the time. So so when I step out of the situation, I like to step out. Like, in order for me to see and determine something, I always have to step out and become the observer from a distance. Sometimes you're all the experiencer and the observer at the same time, but you're in the mix. So sometimes I like to step away, and the way I do it is like, I wouldn't say just meditations, but just step away from whatever it is and think like, okay, just let me, like you said, let me breathe, let me just be in my own little space. And then when you clear your vision, then you can see, you know? So stepping away and giving it time. I don't make decisions quickly, because that way I will always listen to the mind. Every time I make decisions quickly, I'm listening to the mind. So if I give it a time and let it sink in, then my intuition will be more clear. Does that make sense?
So you said given the right amount of time, when you let it sink in, your intuition is more clear, it clears up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. It's so many times I have said to myself, oh my God, if I've just given it a little time, I would have made a different decision. So many times. I've made so much decisions so quickly. And then when it sink in, I'm like, oh my God, I should have been doing differently. It's like you move it, you make it like a chess move. And then when you thought about it, I'm like, oh my God, why did I do that? But you already moved, you know? So when you give it a time and let it sink in, then you will know from what angle you will be attacked from or whatever, and then you know to make the right move, right? But sometimes you make the silliest move and it's like, boop, you captured immediately, just like that. It's like, why didn't I see this? So yeah, let it sink in, think. Yeah, give it a time.
Yeah, it's like think and let it sink, right?
Yes,
Think
think
and let
and let it
it sink,
sink.
right?
Yeah,
It,
yeah.
you remind me because every time I would play my dad in chess early on, when he would beat me all the time, and he would tell me, I'd make a move, and he'd be like, "Son, are you sure?
Mm,
You know,
yeah.
you sure about that? Like, is that the move you want to make?" And I look at the board. I clearly look, and I'd see my position. I would think that I was in an advantageous position, but there was something I wasn't seeing, and he gave me a chance.
Yeah,
He'd be like, "Are you
yeah,
sure? Is that your move?"
yeah.
And I'd be like, "Yeah,"
For sure,
confident. Yeah.
for sure.
Be like, "Okay," like, boom, checkmate. Right? It's over. The game's over. And I'm like, "What? Where did that come from?" Out of nowhere. But it was just beyond the scope of my awareness. It was just
Yeah.
beyond what I couldn't see, what I hadn't seen. And it's interesting because Rebecca says that's my go-to, because we start to breathe more rapid when things like this happen,
Mm-hmm.
and the kind of in the spot fix, and then we can figure all the rest out.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I wasn't good at that. I used to make decisions like, oh, I figured that answer out immediately. Like, I'll make the move quickly. But now I've learned how to just, okay, wait. Like, if your dad asks you the question, that's like a chance for you to look, did you make the move, But if your mind is still fixed, you will think, yes, yes, you think the person is tricking you. But if you just let it sink and think like, oh, let me see, you know, you'll find the error right there.
Right. You also remind me, Nabiha, because just like we make our next move our best move, like a chess move. There's something to be said about that bond, you know the bond between mother and son, because I myself, I'm an only child.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm the only child from my mom and my mother and father.
Mm-hmm.
And since I don't have any children of my own, that bond or that relationship has never been made known to me. So it's never been shown to me in that way. But I remember when I was in the Pranic Festival in Italy,
Mm-hmm.
the run-in with Rocky, Rocky Chari, and she has a boy. She has one boy,
Mm-hmm.
and it's her only child. And when she reflected, we had a conversation where we talked for like an hour, and she was just telling me like, "That's my baby. I'd do anything. You
Mm-hmm.
know." And I recall there were times where you would talk about how that a child, it doesn't come to you, it comes through you.
Mm-hmm.
It comes through you. It's like a soul coming through, but you're saying you don't own it. You don't own the soul,
No.
but it comes through your vessel. So can you just speak a little bit about that relationship? Because when she imparted to me her connection with her son, she let me know deeper my mom's connection with me,
Mm-hmm.
and why she was so worried when I was on this journey. Why she thought, oh my God, like my son is gonna die, he's killing himself, he's hurting himself. There was just so many complications, and you know it was hard for
Yeah.
both of us to understand each other, but I didn't understand that bond that goes far and beyond.
Yeah. It's if your mother understood that you were just a soul coming through her and not her thing, it would be easier for her to accept it as well. Because when I say that children are, just souls that comes through us, they choose you to guide them, you know. And while, the only thing we've given them is a physical tool, which is our DNA, you know. That's the physical tool you're giving, but you have no business in the soul. That's a soul that just choose to come through you. And then you have to take the responsibility to guide them through here until they can be on their own, and find their ways, right? So in a sense, if we see children as our ownership, like this is my child, this is my thing, and we get like possessed by that. But I think it's just, if we understand this is a soul came through you, you gave it a vehicle, and now guide them through. And then when you chose to take this path, for example, your mother would understand and say, okay, that's his route. you know I did guide him through the life, and now he chose to his path, right? So then this is your path as a soul. So she have nothing to do with that. But it's hard to accept when something is of you, basically, and then it's going on its own. But yeah, yeah, it's just souls that comes through, really, really. And that's why it's so important for the man and a woman, when they make a baby, to them to be aligned, so you can give the best vehicle. Because a lot of us come out damaged already because of whoever that produced us. They had different, your mother, like however she was thinking, however she was like doing things, all of that was like you become that product, right? So whatever that she created, and then it continues. Like the body has its own memories and all of that, right? So it's like if you make children consciously, you will know how to give them the right vehicle, and you will know how to guide them, and you will know how to let them go. That's it. But we all don't know that because we were not even created correctly, right? So it's not easy to know that. But yeah.
And what would you call a correct creation? Like, what is a creation that was created correctly?
I would say, like, let's say, sometimes I say, we humans, like a man and a woman, they are designed differently for a reason. So let's say, like, a woman is pregnant, right? She's literally creating, manifesting some being within herself, right? And that's a vehicle that a soul would use. So for a man, since the child is not inside the man, he can do everything outside, right? Things that she is not capable of doing. Or she can, but for her whole energy to focus on that creation, the man needs to give her that relief, at least those moments, you know, when she is creating the baby, right? So if she don't have to worry, if she don't have to like stress, you see the mothers nowadays, they don't even know the baby father, you know, they're stressing about who the baby father is. They're running around here and there. Things are like going crazy. So that baby becomes just that product of that mindset, if that makes sense. So if your mind and however your state is, that's the kind of product that you will create. So that's why the man is a helper. He's a helper while the woman is creating the baby. So that's why they call him the provider. Instead of the woman going out her way while she's pregnant, now she can focus on just manifesting this in the womb. Does that make sense? So that makes it easy. That's why we are designed those two different, you know, even though we are the same, we are designed differently for a reason. Yeah.
And that's what you call creating correctly.
Yes. Creating
Okay.
correctly, when the woman is able to manifest correctly. There's no, you know, because of however your mindset is, that's what you create. You know, if you had bad day, whatever you're eating, that's what the child will become, you know. So if she's eating unhealthy, running around, doing, you know, 8-hour shift, trying, and then there's something really being created within her. So how do you think that product will turn out? It's different from a product that's fully focused on manifesting that child. Because you are creating while the child is in the womb. Like everything in that child, you're really creating. I've tested it. I've tested it on my daughter. She is exactly how I created her. Yeah.
So when you refer to, you know, the child as like the product that you're creating, you're saying there are ways to be productive, but there are also ways to be unproductive. Like you're not producing correctly. There is an incorrect way to produce.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. And we are doing it very well.
We're doing it well.
Yeah,
Just
we're
saying.
doing it well. Yeah. It's you can't see, you know, people get pregnant, have babies left and right, but you would never see anybody intentionally manifesting the being, like creating it, really taking that time, you know, because the body that comes out, you know, that's a creation. And then the soul will use that, you know. So like we came here with all these traumas, we came here with all these, you know, diseases and stuff like that. That's because of we are just attached to that, you know, mindset of when we were in the womb, whatever your mother was going through, whatever her mother was going through when she was in the womb, all of that is created within us. So we just, you know, creating the same gene over and over and over again.
So
Yeah.
that you tested this out on Hannah, you know, when you tested this out on her, what was it that you did differently that made her that perfect manifestation or that perfect creation when you tested?
I think, you know, when I had my first son, it was like just something that was just happening, right? And I wanted a daughter. So it was just something that was happening. And I felt like there was something I could, you know, participate in, but I didn't. So when I had Hannah, I was like, no, I'm not going to have the same thing again. So this time, let me create it. Okay. So the way she looks, her hair, her, you know, her attitude, everything. I used to write it down. I used to write it down. Yeah. I used to write it down. And yeah, and Hannah's pregnant. I didn't eat. That was the only pregnancy I didn't eat. The first one I used to eat. The second one I didn't eat. And I remember that was a concern for the doctors and stuff, but it wasn't something that I created. It was something that just happened, you know? So, yeah. And she's not an eater either. Yeah. She's not an eater. I don't want to tell her because then she will, you know, lose weight or whatnot. Her weight is normal. She always stays. People just don't understand. She don't eat, you know? I remember someone used to say, like, my sister called me once and she said, I'm concerned about your daughter. She's always just in the room. She never eats. She never do this. And she's been there for 3 months. She said, I thought it was just the first week, but I've seen her for 3 months. I'm watching, I'm watching. And she said, I come out at night to just check if she is, but she's not. Her art is her food, I've noticed. So once she gets into that drawing or creating, she will never get out of the room. So it can be, you know, yeah.
You said her art is her food, so it's like her creations are her consumption.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, since she was a little kid, like I used to buy her every birthday. I used to buy her a drawing book. What do you call that? The drawing thing. First it was like the painting, and then yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's all she ever wanted. Every birthday, that's what she wanted. When she was 5, 4, whatever, that's all she wanted. So yeah.
And it's interesting how intentional you were in creating, and that you weren't even eating during that process, during that pregnancy. So many people would think that that is impossible, you know.
It's not impossible. It's not impossible to not, to just, my problem was whatever I put in my mouth, I was throwing up. So there was no point for me to eat. I was literally just throwing up everything, like even water, I'll be throwing up. So I remember the doctor had me go to the hospitals like every 2 weeks just to check my weight. My weight would never move. It would be the same. It would be the same. It would be the same. And then, yeah. But yeah.
Wow. You know, earlier while you were speaking to Biha, you're touching so many people with your message, because I know that it resonates to someone in here. Samantha said, it is difficult to let go and when to acknowledge not to guide them. And she says she has a son as well,
Mm.
because you were talking about how you create them, you guide them, and then you let them go.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to let them go because you think it's yours. You think it's yours. Yeah.
So when you were able to like wander, I remember when you said you were kind of free to go around and you would roam and you would go here and you would go there when you were younger, and you didn't really have like people just all the way on you all the time. You kind of had a lot of autonomy. Was it scary for you, or did you have any anxiety when you first started to let your children go, when you just let them go, maybe go play, go on your bike, go in the neighborhood, go roam, go out, go.
No, I feel like my children were always free in a sense because I was a kid myself when I had them. So we were kids together. So they were always free somehow. So yeah, no, they grew up in that freedom of choosing, picking, like for example, if you give people freedom, then they will create some type of discipline. Like I remember I used to give them candy just on Saturdays. So you can have like full of candy in my table on my table, like on Tuesday, whatever. They would never touch it because their mind was like, okay, it's not Saturday, But they had the freedom to have it. It was on the table if they wanted to, but it was not Saturday. So I think they always had that freedom. My daughter told me when she moved back to Norway now, she's like, oh my God, Mom, thank you for always giving me this freedom. I could be myself. No, I don't know who I am. I have to be this person. Oh my God, I feel sorry for her sometimes, but I feel like life have to teach different lessons. So I intentionally wanted her to learn that lesson where, sometimes freedom can be taken away from you, but how will you handle it? So yeah, she's
Mm.
doing it pretty
So
good.
you feel like she couldn't have learned that lesson any other way?
No, yeah. It's like, like I said, they always had their freedom. If someone asked like my kids, like, what is your religion? What's your mom's religion? They will look at them like, I don't know. I don't know, you know. But they know about higher power. They do. And then they can go to their dad, and then there's a religion there, right? So I've taught them how to be respectful in other people's beliefs. You don't have to take on it, but if you want to, you can. If it makes sense to you, you can, but you don't have to, right? But you have to respect every religion, every belief, just the way they are, and they do. But I think deep down, they don't also have that. I belong to a religion. I
Deep.
don't. Yeah, they don't have that. No.
Okay. Because it's interesting, you say that now she turned around and she thanks you. She's so grateful. She has so much gratitude for the freedom that you gave her. Like, thank you for giving me my freedom. Thank you. You
Mm-hmm.
know, is there any point in time that she wasn't that thankful, or she didn't really see far ahead? She wasn't really thankful for you giving her all of that freedom years ago?
Yeah, when she was in it, she just thought that's how life is, right? Until she had to experience something different. Hannah have never been away from me, so she only knew my ways. So to get introduced to other ways was a little different. So like I said, when you have that freedom, you don't know you have it unless it's taken away from you. That's the only way you will know. So she wouldn't know, you know, maybe she didn't feel like as free because I have my boundaries, so maybe those things wasn't so free, but yeah, only when I took it away, that's the only time she noticed. But now she's going through it, and I feel like from the age that I sent her to the age that she is right now, I know when it's enough experience, and then it will stick. It will stay there, and then she can go back to her freedom because that's what she knows first. If that makes sense.
Do you see Mickey learning the same way or learning differently?
Uh, you can have children, same mother, but they don't have to be the same. They're all different. They're all different. So yeah, I will take away his freedom too. In when he is 13, I thought. Yeah. So I will give him 13 until he's yeah. I will take away his freedom a little bit when he's 13, so he can learn the opposite. 13 to 16, I think is a good. Yeah, I sound so bad when I say I'm taking someone's freedom, but it's my way of disciplining, you know. It's like, okay, experience that side of life and then experience this side, and then you can know the differences. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so to have the contrast, to know the difference,
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah.
see both sides,
Yeah. Yeah.
freedom and without.
Yeah. And the only thing that's doing it is religion.
Hmm.
When I send them to their fathers, they have religion and then they have to obey to certain things. And then it comes with different disciplines. And some of the disciplines I like, it keeps them away from troubles. So I'm thinking like those are the things that I could not teach in a way because I can be a little soft. But yeah, why not put them in an environment where they can actually learn naturally?
Okay, so that's a good question. So do you feel like, with the divine feminine, divine masculine, we talk about these counterparts. We talk about the yin and yang and the balance. Do you
Mm-hmm.
feel like there are lessons that the woman or the mother cannot teach that the father must teach, and vice versa?
Yeah,
You do?
yeah, yeah, I believe so. I don't think it's impossible for a woman to teach him, her son everything that he needs, really. But it's always like something in that son that would be like, okay, I will look up to a man because you always look up to whatever that is similar to you. So a man will look up to a man and a woman will look up to a woman. So whatever I teach him, even if I teach him the same way, I can tell him like, hey Mickey, come on, let's do some push-ups, and he will look at me like, you doing push-ups. And then my neighbor will come by and he's like, Mickey, give me 15, and he would do it. He would do the push-ups. So it's like, yeah, mine does not work because of, he's a boy and he thinks like, okay, I should learn from a boy. So it's something that's wired within him. So it makes it difficult for a woman to teach a boy everything that he needs. And the same thing with the girl. Like a man cannot teach her everything she needs, a woman, right? Yeah.
Has that ever been frustrating for you to know that there were certain things that you just weren't able to teach?
Mm-hmm. That's because of they just don't, yeah. Yeah, I was frustrated about it. Like, do I have to be a man to tell you this, and stuff like that. Yeah. Because some things they grasp because they need to hear from someone like them. Yeah. Like, I don't think my daughter will take any advice from her father when it comes to how to be a woman, how to be a girl, all of that. She will always like think of him like, okay, he's, he don't know everything. Yeah. So yeah, I believe that.
Man, these are good lessons. Prana's son, he said, I literally experienced women manifesting their children to be the hardest gangsters in the hood. They lived
Whoa.
actually manifested. Said they were the hardest gangsters, the ones that manifested their children, you know,
Hmm.
with intention.
Yeah. It trust me, you are creating this. It's like a clay sculpture. You are creating it. So with your mindset, how you align from within, that's how you create it. Exactly how you create it. Because you're pulling from your own genes, and your own self. So it's like however you are, that's how you create the baby. And the environment is so important. That's why, you have to be in the environment that allows you to do that. Yeah. You see? That's some smart women. Yeah. I really believe that when people, just having babies is not to having babies. In my case, I was just 15, and I took my responsibilities. You know, I did take them. So I was like, okay, you know what? I did this. Let me just take this responsibility. But I see a lot of people that can have babies because they think it's just something that you're supposed to have. It's something you just should have. It's like extension of yourself. Like, why would you extend yourself when you don't even know yourself? Like, it doesn't even make sense. You haven't even figured yourself out. Now you want to help another soul to figure themselves out. It doesn't make sense. So only when you have figured yourself somehow, and then you feel like, you can be a guide, that's when you can bring another life here. Otherwise, it has no business being here if you haven't figured it out yourself. It really hasn't. And if you want to create like let's say like if you want to create weak men, you just beat the woman. That's all it is. That's the strategy. So a destroyed woman will just create destroyed products. So yeah, it is very, very, very important to have children intentionally and manifest them intentionally.
Wow. So for the people that argue, there's a big debate about when to have children, how to have children, why to have children. For the people that say, well, you're never ready. There's no right time. There's no, all the planetary bodies won't just align for you to have children. You just have to say like, okay, we're just going to do it. You're saying there is a right time.
Mm-hmm. Just you can. What's the reason for you to just bring a being here? Just to bring a being here? What's the point? Like, they're here for you to guide them. Even in the physical realm, they tell you have to guide them legally until they're 18. You know, so you have to guide them. I don't think even like you have to guide them all the way up to 18 spiritually, really. If you do it right in the womb and then they come out right and then you treat them up to 9, the kid is wiser than a grown up today. Really. You can make a kid wiser than a grown up by the age of 9. Yeah. But
Yeah,
yeah.
I've seen those kids that learn that are like multilingual. They're like sponges. They can, you know,
It is.
mimic and memorize and all sorts of things.
Yeah. But imagine though, when people just have a kid just to have a kid, they waste all of that. They waste all of that. Before the brain gets hardened, you can put in so much and they can just adapt to it just like that. That's why the brain is so soft. Have you ever touched a baby's, scalp? Like, it's so soft. And it gets hardened by the age of, I don't know. Like, at some point it gets hard. And then things, yeah, it gets hard. Like, we're not soft anymore, right? So when it gets hard, things get denser for you. It's harder to capture things. They don't learn as fast as normal. So before it gets hardened, it's so much you can teach a kid. So much, you know. And then, if you like collect the right content within them at that point when they are soft, then when they harden, they have the right content, and then they can continue with that. Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me, there's this story that we're reading right now. You might know of this, Nabiha. It's by Bob Prohl. It's called The Nobody People.
If I know about it,
Yeah, it's called The Nobody People. You ever heard about this one?
we're reading that together, right? Now you
Yeah.
confused me. I'm like, okay.
And the
I've
main
never heard of Nobody People.
the main character, he's a journalist, and I thought that was cool because you used to be a journalist, and he's raising his daughter Emmeline, which he calls Lena, and there's so many things that he doesn't know about her, but
Yeah.
it's like there's so many things he doesn't understand about her intuitive ability. She just knows things, and she doesn't know how she knows things. She just knows things.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's just interesting just seeing that process of how you're wondering who they will be later in life, who they will be, what they will become, what
Yeah.
will become them, right?
Yeah. You can predict by looking at the child, Someone said here, I was always told children raise themselves. And it's the truth. It is the truth, because just remembering when I was a kid, I raised myself, you know. Like the only thing I needed from an adult was like, the questions. Like maybe they can answer to it. If I had some questions. And when I go to them, they didn't never had the questions. I'm like, what's the use of adults? I didn't understand that. They could never, or they would have some ridiculous answers, like some fairy tales that did not
Like,
click with me,
you're like, what's the use of you? You're useless.
They
What's the
never
point?
knew how to answer. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I grew up in the forest, so I've learned more from the forest than I've learned from any
you
adults. They always have some fairy tale ready for me.
you were a woodlander.
Yeah. I was on top of the trees. I used to build my house every day. I wonder if those houses are still up in those forests. I will check one day. Yeah.
A woodlander, a lady of the woods.
Yeah. I
Lady of,
like the forest.
you grew up in the forest. Wow.
I did grow up in the forest, really. It was more forest than buildings.
So you got your teachings from the trees.
Mm-hmm. Every plant, really. Everything, every mouse, everything that I have seen on the forest have always had some mushrooms. Everything have had something to tell me. As a kid, I remember, yeah. I talked to the leaves, whatever.
And like you said, when your mind was soft, or when your brain was soft, you were like a sponge soaking up in all the teachings, the wisdom of the wind, the learnings of
Mm-hmm.
the teachings of the trees, the birds and the bees.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Life taught me a lot. A lot of beautiful things, I wouldn't say like all these people would say like, oh my God, how did you manage that? How did you live by that? I'm like, what? Life life is always really beautiful, even the challenges are just supposed to be there. They're really supposed to be there. So yeah, the forest, I wouldn't say I've learned a lot from people, but now, just like after I turned 30, that's when I got more into people. It was more like nature and other stuff than human beings for me before. I just always assumed like, yeah, whatever, they think the same way anyway, what's the point?
I've always found human beings less interesting.
Yeah, they were less interesting. It was like too much of time consuming. I remember, stop having girlfriends because I just thought it was too much of nonsense talk. I used to think it was just like too much of nonsense. We were watching a movie and now you're talking about boyfriends and stuff. Just be quiet, please. It was too much. So yeah, I love to be by myself, but then I know how much time I can give to companies. I love companies as well, but not necessarily just talk to talk and talk and talk. No. Nope.
Wow, Nabiha, every time we talk, I learn something new from you.
What
You
have you
know,
learned today?
today I learned that if I want to bring a soul into this reality, you know, then I better know myself first.
That's a good one, really. If that's hard, go and get a plant or something like that and try to get to learn that plant and nurture it. A plant and a baby needs the same thing. Really, they're not different. You just take the plant for granted and you think you can just toss it. But they're the same thing, you know. If you can take care of a plant, you can take care of a baby too. So get you a plant and then start meditating and then, you know, take care of the plant and then yourself and then the plant and then yourself. And then if you're ready, you know, the soul will be like, okay, let me see that man can lead me, you know. Really, when we're coming into these bodies, we are choosing consciously who's going to lead us, you know. So imagine coming to a poor leader, poor guide, you know, that can get you through this life. And then it gives you like a poor gene, and now your vehicle, and then it teaches you how to eat wrong, you know, and then it's like, oh my God, now you're trapped in your vehicle. It's like, why did I even return to this planet? It's like, why did I have to go through this person? You know, you don't want to be that. Yeah. So that scared you?
Yeah, that was a little scary.
You're like,
Like,
oh,
what is, you know,
yeah,
poor,
yeah,
poor that, and a poor gene, poor teachings, poor words, poor leader, poor promises, poor education, poor vibration. That's
yeah,
that's a little bit. That's a little heavy.
yeah. Yeah, but you can do all of that on yourself, and when you align yourself, you know how to do it. That's not even hard. Once you know yourself and you know the path, that's not hard. It's you just let this soul be themselves, you know, and then not impose so much on them, not teach them your ways, even, you know, just let them be
You're a living testament. You know,
and let them be. Yeah,
a living
yeah,
testament. So thank you for being.
yeah. Thank you, Jerome. It was nice talking to you, and thank you for everyone here. Today I can see the messages, but yeah. Anyway, peace. Well, let me read the last one. How I did choose a diet and didn't allow me to drink water as a child, only juice. Okay. What? Yeah, I think I chose my parents too. But thank you everyone, and I'll talk to you soon.